The loudest applause cannot drown out the deafening silence of a locked room. When the studio lights finally power down, the Hollywood illusion burns away, leaving only fragile mortals and their unchecked demons. To understand the ignored warnings behind these Hollywood scandals and disturbing tragedies, you must look closer. Subscribe to Hollywood Stars and Scars as we continue to unlock the restricted archives of history, piece together the overlooked evidence, and ensure the next crucial frame isn't lost to time. Because the applause always fades, but the truth remains. Behind the glitter, the scars remain. Welcome to Hollywood Stars and Scars. Number 20, Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is the ultimate American everyman. A two-time Oscar winner, globally beloved for his golden personality and dynamic roles. For decades, his public image projected invincible health and boundless energy. He was the anchor of Hollywood, an actor whose on-screen resilience mirrored what fans believed was an untouchable, flawless off-screen life. But behind the rigorous filming schedules and red carpet smiles, a silent, progressive threat was taking root. The turning point didn't happen in a sudden flash, but through a series of subtle health indicators easily dismissed by a relentless work ethic. The devastating turn came when the invisible symptoms could no longer be ignored, forcing a quiet medical intervention. Hanks found himself confronting a chronic condition that secretly lurked within, demanding an immediate, non-negotiable overhaul of his entire lifestyle and fundamentally threatening his demanding career pace. Official accounts confirmed a type 2 diabetes diagnosis. The revelation shattered the illusion of celebrity invulnerability. Medical management of his health journey dictated that this serious health crisis required strict, lifelong discipline, transforming his daily routine into a calculated protocol of control. The aftermath forced him to navigate an invisible burden, balancing blockbuster commitments with relentless dietary and physical scrutiny. His ongoing battle serves as a stark reminder: ignoring the body's early warnings can force a permanent lifestyle shift, proving that chronic illness spares no level of fame or fortune. A Hollywood titan learned that controlling a cinematic narrative cannot control biology. But what happens when an illness doesn't just attack the failing physical body, but targets the very mind that built a global franchise? Number 19, Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman was Hollywood's ultimate voice of authority. With his majestic demeanor and iconic deep resonance, he projected an image of unshakable strength and composure. For decades, he was the industry's stoic anchor, a veteran actor whose on-screen presence commanded absolute respect and suggested a life of total control and untouchable stability. But in 2008, a single devastating turn shattered that flawless equilibrium. A horrific car accident became the catalyst for a serious health crisis. The immediate trauma was just the beginning. The crash inflicted severe nerve damage in his left hand, triggering a relentless, lifelong battle with fibromyalgia. The physical impact was irreversible, plunging the actor into a daily reality of intense, unrelenting, chronic pain. A split-second event permanently altered his physical trajectory, leaving him to wrestle with a condition that fundamentally attacked his nervous system. Official accounts described a grueling aftermath, where the actor was forced to adapt to severe physical limitations. Medical interventions required him to frequently wear a specialized compression glove to manage the continuous agony in his arm. Despite the invisible burden, Freeman bravely continued his illustrious career, masking his immense physical struggles behind a calm exterior. His ongoing fight serves as a sobering reminder: a sudden trauma can completely rewrite an individual's physical reality, demanding silent resilience in the face of incurable pain. A Hollywood legend fought to conceal his physical agony behind a stoic mask, proving that a commanding voice cannot silence a failing body. But what happens when the affliction isn't just physical pain, but a devastating condition that slowly erases the very mind that made a star a global icon? Number 18. Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson was the undisputed king of Hollywood charisma. With his piercing gaze and mysterious smile, he dominated the silver screen, captivating millions for decades. He was a cinematic powerhouse whose very presence defined the essence of a larger-than-life celebrity. For years, his public image projected an unstoppable magnetic force, making him a permanent fixture in the entertainment industry's most exclusive circles. But in recent years, a devastating turn altered his trajectory. Nicholson almost completely withdrew from public life, sparking immediate industry concern. The turning point wasn't a public scandal, but a quiet, mysterious disappearance from public events. A legendary figure who once thrived in the spotlight systematically retreated behind closed doors, severing his connection with the cameras that built his empire. Investigative reports stated that the actor was battling a serious health crisis. Alarming media accounts described signs of severe memory loss, with multiple sources pointing toward a progressive dementia or Alzheimer's disease diagnosis. The aftermath forced a once great talent into absolute seclusion. The public was left to process a tragic final chapter, where an unstoppable mind was slowly dismantled. It is a chilling reminder time and illness can quietly push a legend into the shadows of oblivion. A Hollywood mastermind was forced into the shadows by an invisible enemy attacking his own memories. But what happens when an unseen threat doesn't slowly fade the mind, but strikes with a sudden, near-fatal ambush? Number 17. Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis was the ultimate cinematic symbol of American resilience. For decades, his name was synonymous with explosive action and indomitable strength, anchoring the massive Die Hard franchise. On screen, he was the untouchable hero who could survive any physical assault or impossible odds. His public image projected an aura of absolute invincibility, leading millions to believe that the man behind the stunts was just as unbreakable as his iconic characters. But in 2022, a devastating turn dismantled that heroic facade. The threat wasn't a scripted explosion, but a silent, invisible enemy attacking his brain. Early warning signs of cognitive struggles culminated in a shocking family announcement. Willis was diagnosed with aphasia, a severe condition abruptly stripping away his ability to communicate. Just 1 year later, in 2023, the timeline took a tragic final chapter when his condition aggressively progressed to frontotemporal dementia, or FTD. The ultimate action star was suddenly thrust into a real-life battle where he couldn't fight back as the cruel disease began actively stealing his memories and his ability to interact. Official accounts described a heartbreaking reality. The cognitive damage was irreversible, forcing an immediate and permanent retirement from the entertainment industry. Media outlets and former colleagues mourned the sudden loss of a Hollywood giant. The aftermath left his family grappling with a relentless decline and an industry completely shaken by the abrupt end to an illustrious career. It stands as a chilling truth: no amount of cinematic invincibility can protect a mind from the ruthless progression of an incurable neurological disease. A legendary action hero survived countless on-screen explosions, only to be defeated by a silent erasure of his own mind. But what happens when the next Hollywood titan isn't battling a slowly fading cognition, but a sudden, life-threatening medical emergency that strikes without any warning? The camera lens manufactures immortality, freezing cultural icons at the peak of their physical and mental command. Yet the biological ledger keeps its own ruthless time. Behind the armor of celebrity, a microscopic rebellion, a failing pancreas, frayed nerves, or dying neurons systematically dismantles the myth. The human organism cannot read a script. When early biological distress signals are ignored to maintain a flawless public performance, silent conditions advance past the point of medical intervention. Fame offers zero cellular immunity. But while internal biology slowly erodes the mind, other destructive forces strike from the outside, arriving with terrifying, catastrophic suddenness. Number 16. Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez was the ultimate teenage icon. With a globally adored pop career, her public image projected flawless youth and boundless energy. For years, she navigated the intense spotlight as a picture-perfect star representing an untouchable success story where every move was seemingly choreographed for millions of adoring fans. But behind the tours, a devastating turn was quietly dismantling her physical foundation. The breaking point occurred when an invisible threat, lupus, triggered a serious health crisis. The grueling schedule masked severe complications until her body simply could no longer keep up. In 2017, the timeline reached a critical juncture when Gomez underwent a high-risk kidney transplant, utilizing an organ donated by her close friend, Francia Raisa. It was a desperate medical intervention, kept hidden from the cameras until the scars could no longer be concealed. Official accounts confirmed the harrowing extent of her autoimmune disease, coupled with severe ongoing battles with anxiety and depression. The aftermath fundamentally altered her career trajectory, exposing the hidden tragedy behind her strong facade. Her medical reality dismantled the illusion of a perfect Hollywood life, revealing a dual burden of physical and psychological trauma. It stands as a stark realization immense wealth and global adoration cannot negotiate with a failing immune system. A teenage idol survived a biological betrayal by relying on the ultimate sacrifice of a friend. But what happens when an invincible on-screen superhero discovers a relentless returning threat etched directly into his own skin? Number 15. Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman was the ultimate cinematic symbol of raw physical power. Globally renowned as the unstoppable Wolverine, his public image projected explosive energy and an exterior that could withstand any assault. He dominated Hollywood as an untouchable action hero representing an idealized vision of peak human resilience. Fans firmly believed the man wielding the adamantium claws was truly indestructible off-screen. But behind the blockbuster stunts, a devastating turn quietly unfolded beneath the surface. The threat wasn't a scripted enemy, but a serious health crisis attacking his own skin. A seemingly minor warning sign quickly escalated into a destructive cycle of multiple skin cancer recurrences. The timeline of his career became marked by urgent medical interventions, forcing the actor to repeatedly confront a persistent, ever-looming danger, while desperately trying to maintain a grueling Hollywood schedule. Official accounts described a series of necessary surgeries leaving permanent physical scars and deep psychological impacts. The aftermath dismantled the illusion of superhuman invulnerability, exposing the harsh reality that a muscular exterior offers zero protection against a biological threat. He transitioned from a cinematic mutant into a silent warrior, leveraging his global platform to advocate for preventative health care and frequent screenings. It serves as a stark reminder, even the most physically imposing icons cannot outmuscle a relentless cellular disease. An action star learned that ultimate physical conditioning cannot repel a microscopic enemy etched directly into the skin. But what happens when an unseen threat doesn't just attack the surface, but completely paralyzes the very instrument that conquered the world? Number 14. Celine Dion. Celine Dion was the undisputed vocal queen of a generation. With an angelic voice that conquered millions worldwide, her public image was built on absolute musical perfection and majestic stage presence. For decades, she navigated massive global tours representing an untouchable powerhouse whose legendary performances seemed to effortlessly defy human limits. But behind the flawless concerts, a devastating turn was secretly taking hold of her nervous system. The warning signs likely started as unexplainable muscle spasms, easily brushed off as grueling tour fatigue, before culminating in a serious health crisis. The timeline shifted drastically when the invisible enemy began actively attacking her vocal cords and restricting her mobility. It was a biological betrayal that completely derailed her demanding residency schedule, forcing a sudden, non-negotiable halt to her illustrious career as her body simply began to lock up. Official accounts eventually confirmed a diagnosis of stiff person syndrome, SPS, an exceptionally rare and progressive neurological condition. The aftermath shattered the global entertainment industry, exposing the heartbreaking reality that the disease was literally robbing her of the very voice that defined her legacy. She was forced to transition from a vibrant stage queen to someone silently battling immense physical restrictions, struggling with every single movement. It stands as a chilling realization: an artist's most precious gift can be abruptly stolen by a relentless cellular malfunction. A global icon learned that millions of adoring fans cannot stop a rare neurological condition from silencing a legendary voice. But what happens when the next star isn't fighting a physical disease, but an invisible psychological terror that attacks the very mind behind the glamour? Number 13. Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen was the cinematic embodiment of timeless power and wisdom. Globally revered for his monumental portrayal of Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings franchise, his public image projected an aura of immortality. For decades, he anchored massive fantasy epics representing a sagely figure who could command armies and withstand any dark force. Fans saw an untouchable titan of the silver screen, whose majestic presence felt truly invincible. But behind the cinematic magic, a devastating turn was quietly taking root. The threat wasn't a scripted villain, but a serious health crisis developing silently within his own body. Away from the cameras, routine medical checks uncovered an invisible enemy. McKellen was thrust into a grueling reality when he received a prostate cancer diagnosis. It was a biological ambush that immediately shifted his timeline from commanding blockbuster sets to confronting a deeply personal and concerning medical battle. Official accounts confirmed the diagnosis, forcing the legendary actor to publicly acknowledge his health struggles. The aftermath shattered the illusion of Hollywood immortality, exposing a hidden burden carried behind his sagely facade. Medical management required him to carefully navigate his condition with strength and grace, balancing his ongoing career with rigorous healthcare protocols. His ongoing journey stands as a stark realization: even the most powerful on-screen figures are ultimately tethered to the fragile realities of human biology. A cinematic wizard learned that no amount of on-screen magic can banish a relentless cellular threat. But what happens when the next Hollywood veteran isn't facing a physical tumor, but an invisible disease that directly attacks the very core of his identity? Celluloid preserves the illusion of invulnerability, capturing icons at their absolute zenith, while microscopic mutinies wage war in the background. The human machine is programmed for survival, often suppressing critical distress signals to maintain outward function. Ignoring these quiet physiological anomalies in favor of relentless professional output allows manageable conditions to silently metastasize into irreversible systemic failure. Biology does not negotiate with box office returns. But what happens when the next catastrophic breakdown targets the mind rather than the flesh? Number 12. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage was the cinematic embodiment of wild, unpredictable genius. With a versatile and highly eccentric acting style, he conquered Hollywood and captivated audiences for decades. His public image projected an intense, larger-than-life persona, making him an untouchable force in blockbuster cinema. Fans viewed his explosive energy as pure artistic brilliance, a unique talent completely in control of his own chaotic brand. But behind the chaotic on-screen characters a devastating turn was quietly unspooling in his personal reality. The erratic behavior wasn't merely a performance choice. It was the symptom of an invisible internal threat. A serious health crisis manifested through extreme emotional highs and terrifying lows, silently attacking his stability. The timeline reached a critical juncture when his psychological battles profoundly disrupted his demanding career, forcing him into a relentless daily struggle against his own mind. Official accounts eventually confirmed a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. This revelation fundamentally shifted the narrative, unmasking the hidden burden behind his tumultuous life and eccentric roles. He transitioned from a highly guarded superstar into a vocal advocate, utilizing his global platform to raise crucial mental health awareness. His ongoing journey reveals a harsh truth. Immense artistic talent offers no immunity against a chronic psychological condition that demands lifelong management. A Hollywood eccentric learned that an explosive on-screen persona cannot shield a fragile mind from internal chaos. But what happens when the next megastar's erratic behavior isn't driven by a mental health diagnosis, but a destructive dependency cycle that completely decimates a brilliant career? Number 11. Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian is the architect of the modern reality TV empire. A billionaire entrepreneur whose entire brand is built on absolute physical perfection and a luxurious, meticulously curated lifestyle. For years, she dominated global media, projecting a flawless image where every detail of her appearance was carefully controlled and monetized. The public saw an untouchable icon of modern beauty who seemingly had it all. But behind the highly filtered cameras, a serious health crisis was silently dismantling that carefully constructed image. The turning point wasn't a public scandal, but a biological rebellion. A devastating turn occurred when her own immune system began attacking her, manifesting as severe psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis. The invisible threat triggered chronic joint pain and relentless visible skin peeling, forcing the reality star into a daily, agonizing battle, often hidden beneath designer clothing. The severe physical toll fundamentally shattered the illusion of a flawless persona. Official accounts and her own public disclosures confirmed the painful reality of her autoimmune condition. The aftermath altered her relationship with her multi-billion-dollar image, forcing her to confront deep body image issues. Medical management now dictates her daily routine as she continuously navigates the intense physical pain away from the spotlight. Her ongoing struggle serves as a stark reminder: unparalleled wealth and global fame offer absolutely zero immunity against an indiscriminate biological condition. A billionaire beauty mogul learned that infinite resources cannot buy an escape from a relentless autoimmune attack. But what happens when the next cultural icon isn't facing a physical skin condition, but an irreversible neurological disease that permanently traps them in their own failing body? Number 10. Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox was the ultimate symbol of youthful exuberance and boundless optimism. Globally beloved as the energetic lead of the Back to the Future franchise, his image projected an unstoppable, vibrant force. He navigated Hollywood as a dynamic star representing a picture-perfect success story where limitless potential seemed guaranteed. But behind the blockbuster premieres, a devastating turn quietly disrupted his reality. In 1991, at just 29 years old, the timeline reached a critical juncture when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. It was a biological thunderclap kept hidden from cameras for 7 years. The pressure of masking severe physical tremors forced a quiet, daily struggle against a relentless condition actively dismantling his motor control. His 1998 public disclosure confirmed the harrowing reality of his diagnosis. The aftermath completely altered his career, exposing the hidden burden carried behind his radiant smile. He transitioned from a leading man into a tireless advocate, launching a global foundation to fund neurological research.
His ongoing fight serves as a stark realization: a serious health crisis can strike at the absolute peak of youth, proving that physical invincibility is an illusion. A cinematic time traveler learned that no on-screen magic can rewind a progressive biological clock. But what happens when the next beloved icon faces an aggressive, life-threatening cancer that demands an immediate battle for survival?
Number 9. Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller was widely celebrated as Hollywood's most beloved comedic actor. With a track record of blockbuster hits, his public persona projected the ultimate image of a friendly, relatable, funny man. Audiences viewed him as an easygoing entertainer, an architect of laughter whose entire brand relied on his cheerful, down-to-earth charm. But behind closed doors, a devastating turn shattered that curated illusion. The reality of working with the legend involved navigating an extreme, difficult-to-please personality driven by unbelievably petty demands. The timeline of his hidden behavior reached a shocking climax when he allegedly flew into an uncontrollable rage in a restaurant over a trivial detail: his Diet Coke did not contain 2 identical ice cubes. This disturbing tantrum exposed an impatient perfectionist tyrant who even forced his personal assistant to physically stand in an empty parking spot to guard it. Industry accounts confirmed a chilling contrast between his humorous characters and his demanding, real-life temperament. The aftermath of these leaked stories fundamentally altered his reputation behind the scenes. The public was forced to reconcile his friendly, cinematic image with the reality of a star exhibiting extreme selfishness and unwarranted anger. It serves as a stark reminder a talent for comedy can easily mask a deeply toxic ego. A beloved comedian proved that making the world laugh cannot conceal a terrorizing behind-the-scenes persona. But what happens when the next megastar's explosive ego isn't confined to a restaurant, but erupts on a live global broadcast, completely hijacking a fellow artist's defining moment? The public persona is a carefully engineered defense mechanism designed to conceal systemic internal collapse. Whether it is misfiring brain chemistry, an autoimmune revolt, or the unchecked toxicity born from absolute power, the human operating system eventually fractures under the weight of maintaining a flawless facade. We worship these polished avatars of fame, willfully ignoring the severe psychological and biological tolls exacted behind closed doors, proving that immense pressure always finds a destructive outlet. But what happens when the mask does not just slip in private, but shatters violently on a live global broadcast? Number 8. Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges was the ultimate cinematic embodiment of effortless cool. Universally beloved as the dude from The Big Lebowski, the Oscar-winning actor projected an unshakable, laid-back aura that captivated generations of fans. For decades, he navigated Hollywood as a highly respected veteran whose on-screen resilience seemed to perfectly mirror his stable, relaxed, real-life persona. He was a pillar of the industry, seemingly untouchable by the typical chaos of stardom. But away from the movie sets, a devastating turn quietly disrupted his peaceful reality. The threat wasn't a sudden accident, but a silent, aggressive biological ambush. Fans were left stunned when a medical timeline culminated in a terrifying announcement: a serious health crisis had emerged. Bridges was abruptly diagnosed with lymphoma, forcing the famously relaxed actor into an immediate, anxiety-filled battle for survival. The invisible enemy demanded a grueling regimen, replacing his easygoing days with intense, high-stakes medical interventions. Official accounts later confirmed a miraculous recovery, announcing that the actor had successfully entered remission. The aftermath completely reshaped his public narrative, exposing the intense vulnerability behind his cool exterior. He transitioned from a beloved cinematic icon into a powerful symbol of perseverance, utilizing his optimistic spirit to inspire others, facing similar battles. His survival stands as a stark realization. A sudden, life-threatening illness can strike even the most unbothered legends, leaving haunting memories of a life-or-death struggle. An Oscar winner fought his way back from a cellular ambush with an unyielding spirit. But what happens when the next Hollywood icon isn't facing a treatable cancer, but an incurable neurological decline that slowly erases a lifetime of memories? Number 7. Tim Curry. Tim Curry was the cinematic icon of flamboyance and explosive energy. Globally celebrated for his legendary role in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, his public image projected an unstoppable, dynamic force. He dominated the screen with his powerful voice and theatrical presence. Fans saw a monumental figure possessing an infinite supply of vibrant energy. But in 2012, a devastating turn suddenly disrupted his reality. The threat was a silent, aggressive, biological ambush. The timeline reached a shocking juncture when a massive stroke unexpectedly attacked him. It was a serious health crisis that immediately halted his dynamic performances, plunging the actor into a grueling emergency. The sudden strike fundamentally targeted his nervous system, actively stripping away the motor skills and vocal power that built his career. Official accounts confirmed the severe aftermath. The stroke permanently confined the once explosive star to a wheelchair. Medical realities forced him to navigate extreme physical limitations, significantly altering his iconic voice and mobility. Yet he transitioned into a resilient survivor, bravely returning to participate in voiceover projects. His journey serves as a stark realization: a sudden biological event can instantly rewrite a physical trajectory, demanding courage to adapt. A theatrical legend proved that boundless on-screen energy cannot outrun a neurological strike. But what happens when the next Hollywood veteran faces a rare blood cancer that forces an experimental high-stakes battle for survival? Number 6. Hugh Laurie. Hugh Laurie was the ultimate television embodiment of medical genius. Globally celebrated for his brilliant, detached portrayal of Dr. Gregory House, his public image projected an aura of supreme intellect and clinical control. For years, he dominated the screen as a cynical diagnostician who could solve any impossible medical puzzle, making audiences believe the actor himself possessed an untouchable, calculated resilience. But away from the fictional hospital sets, a devastating turn was quietly rewriting his personal reality. The threat wasn't a scripted medical mystery, but a serious health crisis unfolding within his own body. A medical examination confirmed an invisible, lifelong enemy: type 1 diabetes. This biological ambush immediately shifted his timeline, forcing the actor into an urgent, unyielding regimen. The sudden reality demanded absolute discipline and constant attention to his health, completely shattering the illusion of his untouchable television persona. Official accounts described a grueling new normal, where strict daily monitoring became a matter of survival. The aftermath forced the iconic actor to navigate the exact kind of chronic condition his famous character would treat. His daily life transformed into a calculated, silent battle of continuous health management behind closed doors. His journey serves as a stark realization: mastering medical dialogue on camera offers zero protection against a relentless biological reality. A legendary television doctor learned that no script can cure a chronic cellular betrayal. But what happens when the next beloved icon doesn't face a manageable physical condition, but an aggressive, progressive disease that systematically strips away their entire physical autonomy? Number 5. Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart was the undisputed face of a global pop culture phenomenon. With her unique style and melancholic presence, she skyrocketed to unprecedented fame, becoming a massive idol overnight. Her public image projected a cool, untouchable star who had easily conquered Hollywood. Fans saw an incredibly successful actress who seemingly had absolute control over her thriving career trajectory. But behind the relentless paparazzi flashes A devastating turn was quietly taking root. The threat wasn't a physical disease, but a crushing psychological burden triggered by intense public scrutiny. A serious health crisis manifested as severe anxiety, initiating a silent war within her own mind. The overwhelming pressure of massive fame forced the young actress to secretly grapple with intense fears and crippling insecurities while actively maintaining her stoic public facade. Official public disclosures eventually confirmed the exhausting reality of her condition, unmasking the dark truth about the extreme pressures of celebrity life. The aftermath transformed her from a guarded megastar into a vocal advocate for mental health awareness. Her ongoing battle serves as a stark realization: immense wealth and global adoration offer absolutely zero protection against an invisible internal terror that demands constant psychological management. A Hollywood idol learned that an untouchable persona cannot shield a vulnerable mind from the crushing weight of fame. But what happens when the next star isn't fighting a psychological battle, but a relentless physical condition demanding risky organ transplants just to survive? The archives of human achievement operate on a dangerous premise that brilliance insulates the physical body. It does not. Whether it is a sudden vascular strike, a metabolic revolt, or crippling psychological pressure, human biology remains ruthlessly democratic. We demand our icons function at an unsustainable frequency, ignoring the physiological debt accruing beneath the spotlight. True survival requires recognizing that baseline biology cannot be outworked or outacted. The camera merely captures a performance, but the cellular ledger always collects its toll. What transpires when the next betrayal targets a failing, irreplaceable organ? Number 4. Emilia Clarke. Emilia Clarke was the fierce and untouchable mother of dragons. Globally revered for her defining role in the massive Game of Thrones franchise, her public image projected absolute strength and invincibility. She navigated the peak of television history as a conquering queen, representing an empowered icon who commanded armies and ruled the screen. Fans saw a young, unstoppable actress seemingly in total control of her skyrocketing career. But away from the fantasy sets, a devastating turn quietly ambushed her reality. The threat wasn't a scripted battle, but a sudden serious health crisis inside her own head. At the absolute height of her fame, the timeline reached a terrifying juncture when she suffered 2 brain aneurysms. These were near-death moments that struck without warning, instantly halting her grueling production schedule. The invisible biological strike forced the conquering queen into a desperate, real-life fight for her own survival, completely shattering the illusion of her on-screen invincibility. Official accounts confirmed the horrifying severity of the medical emergencies. The aftermath left her with unhealing emotional wounds and a lingering fear of imminent death. She transitioned from a fantasy ruler into a grounded warrior, utilizing her global platform to advocate for brain injury awareness. Her harrowing survival stands as a chilling truth. Unprecedented fame and television dominance offer zero protection against a sudden, life-threatening internal collapse. A television queen crossed the threshold of life and death, proving that on-screen dragons cannot conquer biological fragility. But what happens when the next musical legend doesn't face a sudden brain injury, but a relentless autoimmune disease that slowly locks away her ability to move? Number 3. Jason Isaacs. Jason Isaacs was the cinematic embodiment of aristocratic menace. Globally recognized for his chilling portrayal of Lucius Malfoy in the massive Harry Potter franchise, his public image projected absolute, calculated power. For years, he dominated the screen as a formidable villain, projecting an aura of untouchable authority and cold control that captivated millions of fans worldwide. But away from the blockbuster fantasy sets, a devastating turn quietly ambushed his reality. The threat wasn't a scripted enemy, but an incredibly rare and silent biological strike. The timeline reached a terrifying juncture when a medical examination revealed a serious health crisis. Isaacs was abruptly diagnosed with male breast cancer. This unexpected ambush immediately shifted his focus from commanding film sets to facing an urgent life-or-death battle. The invisible enemy forced the formidable on-screen villain to confront a deeply terrifying and intensely personal vulnerability behind closed doors. Official accounts later confirmed he successfully survived the harrowing ordeal. The aftermath completely altered his public narrative, transforming him from a guarded actor into a vocal advocate. He bravely utilized his story to break the intense stigma surrounding male breast cancer, offering crucial support to others facing the exact same terrifying diagnosis. His survival stands as a stark realization. A sudden, life-threatening illness can strike anyone at any time, proving that even the most formidable on-screen figures are bound by biological fragility. A cinematic villain learned that a rare cellular threat is far more terrifying than any fictional magic. But what happens when the next beloved television star doesn't face a treatable tumor, but a progressive neurological decline that systematically locks away his physical autonomy? Number 2. Avril Lavigne. Avril Lavigne was the undisputed pop-punk princess of a generation. With her rebellious style and powerful voice, she dominated the early 2000s music scene, projecting an image of boundless, defiant youth. Her public persona was built on raw energy and unstoppable momentum, making her a global idol who seemed entirely immune to the typical vulnerabilities of the industry. Fans saw an incredibly successful artist who possessed absolute control over her thriving career trajectory. But behind the platinum records, a devastating turn quietly hijacked her reality. The threat wasn't a career misstep, but an invisible biological ambush. Without warning, severe and unexplainable symptoms began to dismantle her stamina. Relentless fatigue and chronic physical pain forced her into a sudden, mysterious disappearance from the public eye. The timeline reached a critical juncture when this serious health crisis grounded her completely, threatening to permanently end her dynamic career as her body simply shut down under the weight of an unidentified enemy. Official medical accounts eventually confirmed a diagnosis of Lyme disease, a lingering, debilitating condition often easily dismissed or overlooked in its early stages. The aftermath forced the once energetic star into a grueling, isolated battle for survival. Although she ultimately made a strong return to the spotlight, the experience permanently altered her trajectory, transforming her from a carefree icon into a silent warrior and vocal advocate for others facing mysterious health battles. Her harrowing journey stands as a stark realization. A microscopic threat can silently dismantle an empire of youth and energy if early warning signs remain undetected. A pop-punk icon learned that rebellious energy offers zero defense against a silent cellular invasion. But what happens when the next chart-topping diva isn't fighting a tick-borne illness, but an aggressive autoimmune condition that systematically attacks her own organs from the inside out? Number 1. George Clooney. George Clooney was the ultimate architect of Hollywood magnetism. Globally celebrated as a powerhouse actor and producer, his public image projected untouchable charm and effortless sophistication. He navigated the global spotlight as an absolute A-list titan. Fans saw an invincible leading man who had completely mastered the grueling entertainment industry. But away from the flashing red carpet cameras, a devastating turn quietly ambushed his reality. The threat wasn't a career misstep, but an invisible biological strike. Without warning, a serious health crisis forced the superstar into a silent life-or-death battle. The timeline reached a terrifying juncture when he was suddenly struck down by a severe bout of meningitis. This unexpected emergency immediately halted his momentum, demanding extreme endurance, as his body fought an internal war
hidden entirely from the public eye. Official accounts confirmed the harrowing severity of this near-death experience. While he successfully overcame the horrific ordeal and resumed his illustrious career, the aftermath left deep psychological imprints. He transitioned back into the spotlight, carrying the unseen weight of intense human vulnerability. It stands as a chilling realization: immense wealth and worldwide adoration offer absolutely zero immunity against a sudden, life-threatening medical emergency. A Hollywood icon survived a microscopic ambush, proving unparalleled fame cannot negotiate with biology. But what happens when the next legendary star isn't fighting an acute infection, but an aggressive cancer systematically targeting his own voice? Behind the locked doors of guarded hospital wings and VIP trailers, the Hollywood illusion collapses. Millions cannot bribe a deteriorating mind, nor can blockbuster fame justify relentless psychological abuse. We worship icons oblivious to the monstrous egos and medical sentences destroying them behind closed doors. You are examining the restricted files of the tragic reels, a documented timeline of disturbing tragedies, exposing the true cost of stardom. But the most unsettling footage is yet to play. What happens when an untouchable cinematic hero, a man paid a fortune to portray justice on screen, uses his unchecked power to mercilessly break the very crew, keeping him in focus? Closing the archives of the tragic reels, a stark reality emerges from these disturbing tragedies. Fame provides no armor against biological collapse or psychological ruin. When suffocating isolation collides with absolute power, the human spirit either shatters quietly or weaponizes its pain against others. We idolize perfection, ignoring the desperate red flags of mental deterioration. Survival demands aggressive accountability and immediate psychological intervention before the breaking point. True strength is never found in maintaining a flawless theatrical mask. It exists in the terrifying courage to step away from the applause, dismantle the destructive ego, and beg for a lifeline when control slips away.